Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovias inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh, thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, they are back for all of 2026. We thank Drew and the crew for being a corporate champion, our presenting sponsor once again. And if you need to save money in 2026 on print costs, document management, equipment, Copiers Plus is the place to go. So again, check them out online at copiers-plus.com.
Yeah, maybe you change your Wi-Fi about 4 times a year and need Jerome to come to the house. Well, they're going to do that. Maybe you have bigger needs than that. Maybe you got to print out some tax documents. Maybe you got to print out some settlement documents. Maybe there's all kinds of things that you could be printing out.
This is true.
Particularly here as we hit the new year. So check them out, copiers-plus.com.
Maybe you want to print out an NFC South championship flyers.
Hey, you know what? Maybe you need a bracket, man. The NFL, I wish they would. I hate when they reseed and do all this stuff. Like, it makes it so hard. Like, I got to sit here and star things and circle things, and I got to guess. Hey, I don't like it, man.
Hey, look, anybody can podcast on a Monday, and anybody can certainly podcast coming out of a winter break, Christmas and New Year's break. And we have plenty to get into from the Panthers. I mean, honestly, give them credit, man. They ascended to the top of shit mountain. One way or another, they did it. Congratulations on winning the NFC South. The Canes didn't blow a 3-1 lead last night.
Did not.
Let's go. You had an interesting week with Will Wade.
I did. It was productive.
It's a very productive. We got CFP takes. We got all sorts of stuff.
Man,
we got all sorts of stuff to get into today.
College football playoff.
But let's actually start with a real playoff, not the jamboree that is the college football playoff, an actual playoff with stakes. And you earn your way in by doing things like going 8-9 and winning your division. Look, props to the Carolina Panthers, man. And props to the NFC South, as Darren Gann over at Panthers.com jokingly put on social media. We did not choose the NFC South life. The NFC South life chose us. The NFC South looks at the ACC Coastal Division. They look at Duke winning the ACC championship with some bizarre-ass tiebreakers and going, how about 3, 8, and 9 NFC South teams with a tiebreaker producing the Carolina Panthers, who, fun fact, the Panthers are now the first team to make the playoffs with a losing record twice. First time they did it was in 2014. They finished with a 7-8-1 record. They got in by beating the Falcons in the last game of the season. This has happened 5 times in NFL history.
Okay.
Teams making it to the playoffs, winning their division with losing records. It's happened 5 times. 3 of those times have come out of the NFC South. 2 of them belong to your Carolina Panthers. But it does not matter how they got here. The point is they got here. And I'll kind of go through the timeline a little bit later on. The Panthers fans have been through a lot. And it's easy to say, well, you know, it's been 10 years since they won the NFC South. They went on and won this, or they went and got to the Super Bowl in 2015 with Cam Newton. And you talk about a Super Bowl hangover, except that the Super Bowl hangover wasn't that wasn't the end of it. Remember, they were a wild card team in 2017 with an 11-5 record, but you could probably pinpoint the demise of the Carolina Panthers and how we haven't been the same since TJ Watt finished the job on Cam Newton's shoulder, which had been bothering him, I think, going all the way back to 2016, which again, we'll get to that in a second as it relates to the timeline. But you kind of look at that fateful Thursday night, November 8th, 2018, TJ Watt pops Cam in the shoulder. They lose 7 straight after that. Ron Rivera gets fired, and they've been stumbling through it since. And you could even argue they stumbled their way to this point, but that doesn't matter. It's been 10 years since the Carolina Panthers, and fans could truly feel good about something, and here we are.
This was written in the stars, as we pointed out in August.
Yes,
this is where the Panthers were going to be this year. Lo and behold, it will be in the end as it was in the beginning, because in 2003, the beginning of this cycle, when the Panthers first made the Super Bowl, where the previous year, Ohio State wins the national championship, they open the year with the Panthers, then open the year with the Jaguars. They end the year in the Super Bowl. Okay, this has happened twice before. In that 2003, their very first, their divisional round playoff opponent was the Rams, who just so happened to be in St. Louis at the time. They win that game in overtime. You mentioned 2014, the last time they got in with a losing record. Their opponent in the wild card round was a team from the NFC West, the Cardinals, who they ended up beating when they had a losing record.
Aha.
So these are all good omens for the Carolina Panthers. The only thing that I'm thrown off by, Joe, is the win-loss pattern has now been thrown askew.
It had to, though.
So I wonder where we are.
It had to. Well, you're right about that. It had to break at some point because let's say the win-loss thing occurred and they beat the Buccaneers and make life easy for them.
Yeah.
They're in, right? Because that's all they had to do was beat the Bucs, but they didn't. And we end up here and they had to sit in the Tyler Shuck chair and watch this thing but they're here. That's all that matters. They're here. So the pattern had to break. Thankfully,
in order to get the playoff win.
It did not break. And this is why people were asking, how come you did not drink the Super Bowl 50 beer yet? And I said, because the powers of the Super Bowl 50 beer must be used at the right time.
I might tackle you before you drink that beer.
The pattern, if it was to hold, they'd win on Saturday. Now you got to drink the beer to break the pattern. But now I'm just drinking the beer because, again, everything's lining up. You're talking about the astrology of it all, right?
Yeah.
This woo-woo stuff. Okay. Here's another one to add to where we are with the Carolina Panthers and why you should feel good about Saturday. Shout out to Claire who pointed this out. When the Panthers had their unbelievable Cam Newton MVP season and made it to the Super Bowl 50. All right. I'm dusting off all these shirts from back in the day, right? That I picked up while I was out in San Francisco. You'll remember there was a Panthers fan that went viral for music. Do you remember Ked Woodley, Dominate the Foe?
Carolina Panthers with sharp teeth and claws. We growl to win this game. We call pro football.
That should be our tell me something good. Row, row, row.
They went on to the Super Bowl. Now, I give you Carolina Mike, 150,000.
Mm-hmm.
He went viral. They even brought him to the stadium.
Yeah.
What up, party people? I got a question. Are you ready to stand up and show how much you really care about and how much you really support these Carolina Panthers? Yeah, me too. And it's a big one this week, y'all. It's winning in for the division. Let's go. Show some love. Spend $150,000 on a football team. Wait a minute, that's not enough to buy a team. Spend $150,000 on a tricked out Porsche. Wait, what? Minnesota, it snows too much.
Can we get tickets for $150,000 this weekend?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
So,
Safe.
shout out to Claire who pointed out that not only do we have all these things that line up, we also had two fans go viral for their tracks. It's written in the stars, Joe. Written in the stars.
I'm trying to tell you, people. And yeah, the officiating was bad.
It was
on Saturday. I thought, the Bucs have been bad for the last 2 months now, and it's like, oh, of course they decide to look like a half of a team.
Yeah.
But salute to Raheem Morris, who you forgot to give shouts to for closing it out again.
And
the
Falcons
superpower
and getting fired.
Yeah, you got fired today. The Falcons superpower of when they're eliminated, they're like they are the Super Bowl champions of eliminated teams.
They are 13-4 now in games with zero consequences.
Yes.
Amazing.
So that is amazing. But I'm going to give you my number one takeaway from Saturday's game.
Okay.
And I was getting angry watching the game on Saturday.
All right.
That rain. I do not like watching football. I do not like watching games of consequence that are decided by the weather and the conditions. If you look at these playoffs,
Yeah.
home teams in the AFC first round, Pittsburgh, New England, Jacksonville. So in theory, Jacksonville, even though that game was in Florida, should be good weather. NFC, Panthers, Eagles, Chicago. Number one seed in the AFC, Denver. Number one seed in the NFC, Seattle. The location of the Super Bowl this year, outdoors for the first time in 10 years. A mutter is going to win this Super Bowl. Not a motherfucker, but a mutter. That's who's winning this time.
Which actually would line up for the Carolina Panthers.
That's right.
They're not winning in pretty ways. Doesn't matter. They've just found ways to win. That was such a classic Florida.
Oh my God.
That was...
They all had to take their gloves off.
Yeah.
They had to get new shoes and all this other stuff. And I'm like, what are we doing?
If you grew up in Florida or have visited Disney World this time of year, you know what happened on Saturday very, very well. Because typically the attitude in Florida is, give it 30 minutes. The rain will go away. The weather will change, right? And growing up in South Florida, it was like you had until about 2:00 in the afternoon. You get your thunderstorms, and then you move on about your business. You can go back to the pool, you go back to the beach, whatever. But invariably, you're going to get stuck with one of these days where something just sits on top of you, or stuff just continues to develop out in the Gulf and just keeps on coming through in waves. And that's what they ended up dealing with on Saturday. And it was
obviously for both teams.
Brutal. And it was brutal for both teams, but not as brutal as the officiating.
Now, that was brutal for one team.
Dude, so here's the thing about it was brutal for the Panthers to the point where I almost went back on my usual.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
We don't talk about officiating. I hate talking about officiating.
Losers talk about officiating. That's what
that's usually my MO.
Yeah.
It's like I don't like talking about officiating. You have multiple opportunities to get over on bad calls. But when you get bad call after bad call after bad call, you do have to address it at some point. Now, am I blaming the officials for the Carolina Panthers losing on Saturday? At this point, it's immaterial. They're in the playoffs. They won the NFC South. Who cares? I would point out that if they did not get in the playoffs, you know who would be getting crushed today? Not Brad Allen, the head of officials, who, by the way, shout out to Brad Allen, your 2025 North Carolina High School Athletic Association Hall of Famer.
Oh,
He was put in the North Carolina High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame last year. Something tells me there might be a Panthers fan on the board. I don't know if James Alverson is still doing stuff with the NCHSA. Shout out to Alverson. If they go, yeah, Brad, about that, dude, you can't do that with the Panthers. You can't do that with the Panthers. But if they were not in the playoffs today, I can definitively tell you that Dave Canales would be getting his ass handed to him for the flea flicker call.
Oh. In the storm.
The storm to call that, to the point where even Bryce Young can be seen, if you read lips, talking to Andy Dalton going, well, why did we do that? Exactly. But instead, we're going to focus on Bryce Young talking to one of the officials after the Rico Dowdle backward pass and be like, what the hell was that?
I literally have never seen that before.
Yeah, so first down pass play, Young throws to Rico Dowdle on the flat. He drops it. Whistle blows it dead. Officials discuss and they say, oh, hold up. That was a backward pass, a lateral. And then making matters worse with Brad Allen, the head of officials, on the mic saying, went out of bounds. What do you mean went out of bounds? That's not what happened. It didn't go out of bounds. So they put up at 2nd and 17. They ended up having to kick a field goal from 54 yards. I think was it 54 or 44? It was 54 yards out. He misses it. It is what it is, right? But after the game, per the pool reports, Allen said once it was possessed, the receiver or the runner gave himself up. Rico gave himself up, which is what happened. He did give himself up because the whistle had blown. He thought it was a dead play. And it caused the play to become dead. Allen added, quote, because of the erroneous whistle, the Panthers could have had a choice to replay the down.
I was going to say, when there's an inadvertent whistle, the team who's not benefited should be given a choice to replay the down.
Now, Canales did not talk about the officiating after the game, but Joe Person, I guess, had communicated with Canales at some point because Joe Person from The Athletic tweeted out that Canales said it was never relayed to him that he could replay that down.
Yeah.
So it was a complete fuck up.
Yes.
Complete fuck up by the officials. Then you had
never mind taking the helmet off and the OPI on McMillan, which wasn't even close to
Tedero McMillan, offensive pass interference, negates a 30-yard pass play per the pool report, stating covering officials saw that the receiver had created separation more than 1 yard downfield, which by rule is illegal. The rules analyst on ESPN ABC said, well, the reason why Tet was so open was because he shoved the guy out of the way. But
it was within the 5 yard
window. It was within the 5 yard window. So come on now. So yes, we got that OPI. Then we got, as you mentioned, Tommy Tremble getting his helmet ripped off, no call. And then Cade Otton trips over his own feet.
Oh, yeah, their PI on the Panthers defender.
He tripped over himself, and they called that defensive pass interference. So I bring this up, and I jotted this down to highlight, the officiating absolutely sucked. And this is now twice where the Panthers, I'm sure through back channels, because it already happened once this season, have been told, hey, we fucked up. And they really screwed up on the Rico Dowdle thing.
Yeah.
They truly effed that up, all right? But the reason they lost that game was not because of the calls. The reason why they lost that game was because the running game couldn't get going. And I'm telling you right now, if they were not in the playoffs today, Dave Canales would be getting his ass handed to him for some of the play calls. Handed to him for that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, man. telling you right now.
Best not to cry over spilt milk. I think this is a ball don't lie situation the Panthers are in. Now they play a team who, in my opinion, is the best team in the bracket, the best team in the tournament.
Yeah.
Is Devontae Adams going to come back? Because that's when the Rams are the best team in the bracket. Without Devontae Adams, which when they played in Charlotte the last time when they played and they beat them, they were able to get after them, trade paint with them, and really that was, in my opinion, their best win of the season. Can they do it again? You know what? Maybe the pattern's broken. Maybe you drink the beer. Maybe we are looking at an 0-3-0-15 situation again, where it's definitely written in the stars. And there's an argument to be made. If you're going to have to play the best team, you might as well play them first. Yeah, and get it out of the way. Because maybe the Rams go into this game and say, "Hey, Adams isn't playing." Well, now they've shut him down.
The Rams have been shaky, by the way,
because they shut Adams down. I think they've been putting him on ice.
Although, if you believe
he's
the internet,
differentiator.
If you believe the internet, there's another reason why the Rams have been shaky the last couple of weeks. But
sure,
that's another story altogether.
Sure, I mean the Rams to me are the most complete team because they have the most playmakers.
Sure.
When I say I think a mutter is going to win this tournament,
yeah,
every team in the freaking field is a mutter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. The Patriots. Who's their best skill player besides Drake May? It's smoke and mirrors. Denver. Yeah. Denver doesn't even score. Houston, one of the hottest teams in the NFL. What are they doing?
Oh, I'm with you.
Can you even name a skill player on Houston?
It's
Jacksonville, the actual hottest team in the NFL. They're doing it with Clemson all of a sudden, like Etienne and Trevor Lawrence, like they rolled into Carter Finley Stadium on a cold Saturday night. Like they turned back the clock in Jacksonville. Even on the NFC side, Sam Darnold. You're trusting Sammy football? I mean, fool me fucking once, guys.
Right.
I ain't buying that shit.
Right.
Philly goes up to Buffalo, and I think Philly's all kinds in all sorts of ways feeling themselves right now after that big win that they had up in Buffalo. So I think this bracket is going to be ugly. And anybody's got it. I literally, there are very few times in my lifetime where I've looked at an NFL tournament and said that anyone has a chance. Well, I got news for you. Anyone's got a chance in this thing.
Well, I was looking at Neil Payne. Neil Payne, for those who don't know, he's one of these odds numbers guys who's bounced all over the place. 538, Washington Post, all that kind of stuff. He's got a Substack that I subscribe to because business expenses. Right now, the Panthers to make the divisional round are at the lowest odds right now. They are at 24.2%. to make it into the next round, 5.9% to make it into the conference round, and 2% to make it to the Super Bowl. So what you're saying is there's a chance. And we just laid out all the reasons why. Interestingly enough, I thought the Steelers and how they got into the playoffs was actually a worse sign than the Panthers, in my opinion.
The missed field goal?
Yeah. That was like a worse sign to me. And also watching Aaron Rodgers.
Talk about ball don't lie.
Yeah, dude.
Shit, Tucker's out there, doing the things that he's doing. And they get rid of him.
And now
they're like, hey, we got this guy.
And Mike Tirico's out here saying, they've got the confidence in this guy to make kicks like this.
44, checks notes, 44 yards. That building, by the way, is cursed.
How so?
It was at Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, it was at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's the worst kicking stadium like in all of football.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I did not know that. I did not know that. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting that I guess it's because the Panthers are playing the Rams and all that stuff, but I would say that the Rams are a little bit on the shaky side. I know you don't want the Rams to be shaky.
Heavily.
I know you don't want the Rams to be shaky.
When I tell you heavily invested.
I know. Speaking of investment, about the Panthers and getting here, and there's a couple ways to look at this. You can either put your arms around how the NFC South is, as we joked earlier, Darren Gant with we didn't choose the NFC South life. The NFC South life chose us. Or to borrow a phrase from Phillip Rivers, much like the Wolfpack ain't for soft people, the NFC South ain't for soft people. And you could also, and I've gotten a lot of the jokes, I saw the OG Sports Phone with the text, that the Carolina Panthers and the NFC South are essentially the most triangle good of NFL divisions, if you will. Okay? Now, I would argue that there's a difference between triangle good and the NFC South. Teams from the NFC South have won the Super Bowl. Looking at you, Tampa Bay, right? So that's neither here nor there. The reason why I bring this up is because typically what ends up happening is like, you had to backdoor your way into winning the NFC South. And again, there's a long history of the NFC South and these types of things.
Again, it was backdoor, but they had the better group record.
They did.
Like, it's pretty clean tiebreak.
But here's why I think not a single Panther fan wants to hear anything about how they won the division, because I referenced the Super Bowl hangover. To say Super Bowl hangover is kind of hand waving some other things that happened along the way. And while I understand not every hangover is created equally, like my kind of hangover is different than a Joe Giglio kind of hangover. Not to say that I haven't gotten older and it takes me a little bit longer to get over a hangover, but I'm not out for practically a month like Giglio is after a hangover. Like, how long did it take you?
Oh, well, yeah, whatever game that was.
You went to a game earlier this year and you were down bad for several days.
Whew. Mistakes from it's Fireball. Anytime there's
Fireball,
Fireball
that's what
involved.
it is. So I just want to put this in perspective. In the last 10 years, yes, there was the following season, the Super Bowl hangover. But really, what had happened was after their 2017 wild card year where they finished 11-5, Cam Newton wasn't exactly 100% and hadn't really been 100% in his estimation since 2016. And if you don't believe me, here is Cam Newton on his YouTube series at the time called Iconic Saga. And he explains how in 2016, chasing down a San Diego Charger defender after Kelvin Benjamin gave up on a play, he had to chase the guy down and he extended himself, and that's when he effed up his shoulder.
I'm healthy. The last time I've been healthy, it was that I can document. Honestly, 2016-17. That's just a fact. After that damn San Diego game, when we played the San Diego Chargers, and I reached out and I dove for the pylon. No, I threw an interception on the one. I threw an interception trying to throw it to Benji, and
You tried to go and make the tackle.
I tried to go make the tackle.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I tried to push him out, and I extended my arm, and I messed up my AC joint. And ever since then, bro, it's just been a part of me that's just been like a wounded dog.
Yeah.
Like a wounded lion almost.
Yeah.
It's just like, bro, I'm not right.
You don't want to ruffle the lion's feathers, as Cam Newton once said.
That's right.
So TJ Watt on that fateful night, November 8th, 2018, essentially
Finished
the job, if you will. And from that point on, they started that year 6-2. A lot of questions about Cam Newton. Could he get back to his MVP form? I may remind you that up until that November 8th Thursday night game, they had been 6-2, and Cam did look like himself at least. He was efficient. Not saying he was 1-for-1 MVP, but he was putting up similar numbers, if I remember correctly. And then that game happens. They lose 7 straight. They win their last game of the season. I think they played the Saints in the last game of that season. Do you want to go over what life has been like since that season?
Okay, well, that was Ron Rivera still. So then they
fire him
in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy! So they go 5-11 in Rivera's last year.
Mm-hmm.
Then they bring in our guy Matt Rule in the pandemic. 5-11, 5-12, start 22, fire Matt Rule. Wilkes looks like, hey, pretty functional interim coach. Rally, they win 7 games.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on. No, that's not the right guy for the job. Bringing Frank Reich. Whoops. Frank Reich doesn't last very long. Fire Frank Reich, going 2-15.
I almost feel like we're kind of glossing over the Frank Reich stuff too, in that they had like the whole staff and like the brain trust and
7 million years of experience.
All this experience, and
Tom Capers was back to.
It's all going to be just bestowed upon Bryce Young.
Man. My bad. My bad. Jerry Richardson dies is forced to sell the team. Then dies. Yes. You get a new owner, and
forget all that.
Holy shit, Giglio.
Right. I'm trying to say, like, do you see now?
Yeah, it's been a lot.
There's been a lot. There's been a lot that's happened since that fateful night, November 8th, 2018.
Since Cam came back.
I'm back. We had that one time. And then we're also kind of like glossing over the Matt Rule stuff with the 7-year plan and his little one of us.
Oh, yeah.
Like he basically tried to treat it like we're a college program. He wanted to get rid of Keep Pounding. And that was a tough time too, because they wanted to erase. Basically, Matt Rule wanted to make that Panthers franchise his franchise and completely dismiss everything that had been built up to that point, right?
Yeah.
So Yes, then you get to Frank Reich. And then you're at like the lowest of the low. You're like, did we make a mistake with Bryce Young?
Traded everybody in their world.
Traded
Gave away
everybody.
McCaffrey for a bag of donuts.
Who wants this job? You get Dave Canales and you have to, Dan Morgan gets elevated to general manager. Is this the right thing? And all that kind of stuff. And again, there's still some question marks.
Oh, man. I forgot about Scott Fitterer.
With the freaking laser eyes, like the based eyes, like he's on every deal. Yeah, is that a good idea? Compounding mistakes after compounding mistake after compounding mistake, and they're just now getting out of it. Now you can say definitively, even though their schedule's a hell of a lot harder next year, they're a year ahead. They're a year ahead of schedule in making the playoffs and winning the NFC South this year. Simple as that. So yeah, to anybody who's out here going like, man, Panthers, backing their way in, you know what? Given that everything that's happened in the last 10 years since they made the Super Bowl in 2015, I think Panthers fans, I think they're going to enjoy it regardless.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping is brought to you by Enovana. You can check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
Let's have a meeting. We're having a meeting. Do you want to do an after dark on Saturday?
Yeah.
4:30?
Yep.
Can watch you light your ticket on fire?
Man,
after the Panthers win?
Hi, Giulio. Boy, dry January will be over if the Rams lose.
Oh, you're really trying to dry January?
I promise you that.
You doing that again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
okay. Fair enough. See, let's after dark on Saturday. We also got hoops to talk about on Saturday.
Yeah, we got a lot of hoops.
Because we got Duke, SMU, Carolina, Wake Forest at 6, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And State is on the road at Florida State, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll do an After Dark on Saturday. Big thanks to Mikey P, the Secret Stash. New year, new stuff at the Secret Stash. Head on over to the OG.shop. Again, that's the OG.shop. I guess were you drunk?
No.
Was it 3 a.m. in a Waffle House when you decided to...
No, I saw the Waffle House sweatshirt. I'm like, we could do one of those, couldn't we?
Well, we got them all. We got t-shirt, hoodies, and a polo.
Yeah, Brendan wanted a golf shirt.
Absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, head on over to the OG.shop. The OG.shop. One other housekeeping item before we moved on. So in our OG mailbag year in review, OG audit, a lot of y'all have been after my ass about an audio version of YouTube membership content.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to YouTube. I know the premium stuff doesn't autoplay or doesn't play in the background like normal YouTube stuff, even if you are paying for YouTube Premium. Totally understand. So this is a beta test because it basically requires trust in you, the audience.
Mm.
If you are a paying YouTube membership channel person, there is a feature that ties your YouTube membership into your Discord account. Some of you are wondering, what the fuck is Discord? Like Giulio. Discord is it's like Reddit. You're familiar with Reddit, right?
Yeah.
And Reddit's just one big message board with a variety of subreddits. And you can start up a subreddit. We have a subreddit that we never use, believe it or not. Friends of the OG. Never use it though. Nice. But we have it. So on New Year's, killing some time, watching sports, I fired up a OG Discord. It is a private Discord. The only way you can join the Discord is by tying your YouTube account to the Discord account. For the technologically savvy out there, this should be easy to do. You just go in there and say, hey, yeah, I got this YouTube thing, tie them together, and it will show you that there are Discord servers, including ours, that you can join now that you're tying these things together. Within the Discord server, there is a link to a private RSS feed. Okay? That private RSS feed will give you the audio version of OG premium stuff. You're going, what the hell? You're right. Basically, what I'm doing here is that you really want that audio version? I'm making you work for it because you're making me do extra work.
I see what you're saying.
So if I have to do extra work,
then you do.
you have to do extra work.
Okay.
There's one other
Isn't
way.
that what the money is?
Well. It's only $5.
Okay.
Remember, it's still only $5.
Okay.
There's one other way to do this through Red Circle that we can do, but we'll have to have a future meeting about
I was
that.
going to say Red Circle. I thought was on the shelf.
No, we still use it. We still, believe it or not, we still use it.
Okay.
So there's one other way I can do this, but it would require a lot of money. Remember, that's when we start getting into you want to pay me $50 a month for the audio?
Catering. Yeah.
There's a way to do it.
Specialized catering.
There's a way to do it. So that was the other thing too, because I'm like, I'm not going to email it to you. But if I could find another way to get this to you and you pay us more money, we could do that too.
Mhm.
So, but for now, I've got it tied to the YouTube Discord connection. So more work for you because you're making me do more work. Cool.
Can I just throw an idea out there?
What's that?
Wouldn't you be able to post it on Google and then give people access to the people who pay us?
Well,
Instead of you emailing
No,
everybody,
but the
you
thing-
post it to
but-
one spot.
but it's just an MP3 file.
Right.
Like this way it goes to your actual
actual feed.
your actual feed. So
I got
like
you now.
Chris Brassfield
Yeah.
at Brassfield Accounting, he helped me test it out.
Oh, okay.
And sure enough, he got it to work.
Oh.
But Brassfield's technologically advanced.
Yeah.
So, but yes,
I see what you're
it
saying.
worked. He's all about Discord too.
Oh,
He's like,
perfect.
he thinks we should use Discord even more.
I know.
But,
I know.
that's neither here nor there. Speaking of Chris Brassfield,
So we got to get Chris on because he's got big news.
he does have big news. He's doing taxes now.
Mhm.
So you're
Well,
probably,
Brassfield Accounting is doing too.
no, Chris himself.
Oh, good. Good.
I'm calling it. No, I'm kidding. So brassfieldaccounting.com. Again, check them out online, brassfieldaccounting.com. We talk about Chris in the context of a fractional CFO, right? But now it's January. It's time to start getting your tax stuff ready. And that's something that Chris could help you do. Get all your documents corralled up and take it to your tax person. Well, guess what?
Guess what?
Now he's doing it all.
They brought in a director of tax services, 30 years of experience. So now taxes done. Fractional CFO done. Bookkeeping done.
It's all there.
Payroll, HR done. And for those people with grant and contract compliance, done and done. All you have to do is reach out to Brassfield Accounting. You can actually email Chris at brassfieldaccounting.com.
Also, big thanks to Gordon Miller Lending 2026. You've got some house goals. Maybe you are looking at your credit card statements after the holidays.
Maybe
and
the
you're going,
strategy of the Rams winning the Super Bowl isn't the soundest of financial ones.
no. And you're like, you know what? I should probably consolidate some debt. I'm going to use Miller Lending.
Let's work through this in real time.
Yeah. So check them out. Miller Lending might be the new trauma dump spot, honestly. Go to millerlending.com or call them directly at 919-447-3377. Just start the conversation. It's a new year. You're looking at your financial goals. You're looking at how can we do things. Maybe you've had it in the back of your mind. We're finally going to do this bathroom remodel. I was in that boat for a while. You're looking at your credit card statements. You're looking at the rate. There's got to be a better way to do this.
How am I going to do this?
There is a way to do it by calling Miller Lending and seeing what works for you. So call them directly at 919-447-3377. Take that thing to close, and Joe Giglio is going to personally send you a game-worn Roback. No, I'm kidding. We'll get you a real one.
You get your own.
We'll get you a real one. In the meantime, Roback's got some new stuff coming out this month. Like, hey, new month, new you, new stuff, new fleeces, new quarter zips. Quarter zips very big right now. You can get them at roback.com. Use that promo code OG20. In fact, when I was leaving the NC State game on Saturday, I had a listener come up. Say, hey, man, love the show. I've already talked to Giglio. I'm like, I appreciate that. He was wearing a Roback hoodie, an NC State Roback hoodie. I said to him, please tell me you used a promo code. He goes, I absolutely did. In fact, I'd like to think that all the Roback that I saw in Lenovo Center on Saturday, we had something to do with it.
Obviously.
Clearly. Go to roback.com. Use that promo code OG20. Again, that's OG20. And of course, our guy Matt Davis over at State Farm actually had somebody in the YouTube comments say that somebody in their life got a new car and got the insurance done with Matt Davis. Over at State Farm.
That's
Good
how it's
stuff.
supposed to work.
That is how it's supposed to work. Maybe you're, again, looking at saving money in 2026. You haven't looked at your insurance in a long time. It's kind of one of those set it, forget it. You're probably burning money right now. You could save money with lower rates. Start that conversation with our guy, Matt Davis, over at State Farm. InsureGuarder.com or call him directly at 919-779-8277. Again, that's 919-779-8277. Okay. Let's talk some hoops. How do you want to actually, let me set the table real quick before I ask you, how do you want to start the NC State conversation? I want to preface everything that we're about to talk about with one real simple thing. The ACC this year is better than the last couple of years. So when we're looking at some of the results from the weekend, SMU lighten North Carolina up, which has its own issues that North Carolina has to work through, especially at the guard position defensively. It caught up to them. Duke, not looking like a war machine. Two things about that. One, this never was a war machine like last year with Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple, et cetera, right? But the other thing about last year's team was a combination of that being a Final Four built team and the ACC not being very good. So they were able to run through the ACC. This is a better ACC. Is it a little bit of a yellow flag that their first two conference games, one against Georgia Tech, one against Florida State, one at home, one on the road, that they've been sleepy in the first half, that the other teams have taken it to them rather than the other way around? Sure. There's a conversation to be had about that. But I give Duke a lot of credit for figuring things out on the fly while they're still trying to figure out some of their role definition. We know what Cam Boozer's about, right? But like, what's up with Kaminya and all those guys? Like, what are we doing here at that spot? Dame Sarr, how productive can he be on a consistent in and out basis? All those things are still kind of being worked out at Duke. So all of this is to say that we are entering in conference play with the ACC being better positioned. I'm not saying it's vintage ACC. I'm simply saying that it's a better ACC than we've discussed the last couple of years. Don't believe me? Go ahead and look at Bart Torvik, Ken Pom, Evan Maya, the Net, etc. There are a bunch of teams. It's not a top-heavy necessarily ACC this year, but there's a lot of teams in that like very well-defined spot between the 20s and the 30s.
Yeah, then there's 8 top 50 teams.
Yes.
With Virginia Tech and Cal in the 50s.
Yes.
Making it 10,
Yeah.
essentially the top 60.
So all of this to warn you as we go forward, it's going to be a little bit more of an interesting season in the ACC, and we have to reassess how we look at some wins and losses or how they got to a win and assessing some of those losses. We'll get to that with SMU and North Carolina a little bit. But clearly, based on my social media, based on the OG Sports phone, a lot of people want to talk about NC State in the last week. Specifically, the two interactions with NC State head coach Will Wade. Do you want to start with the Wake Forest one?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's
start
go
with
chronologically.
Let's go in chronological order, shall we? So this is Will Wade after a 70-57 win over Wake Forest. It looked like the kind of NC State win that we had discussed. Defense first. It's not going to be pretty. What are you going to be? Well, all right, defense. Get through your defense, get enough offensively, and keep it moving. And that's what they did, I thought, against Wake Forest.
And a little bit of a slow-ish start.
Yeah.
And they turn it on in the second half. We've seen a lot of that this year, that their second halves have been their better half.
So this is the post game, and this is from JC Zembel over at the Wolfpacker on 3. And you get the question in: what's your level of concern with Darion Williams?
I don't know if there's been, but earth-shattering of a difference.
What's your concern level where Darion's game is?
Absolutely zero. I'm tired of hearing about freaking Darion. He's fucking playing well. All right, it's a terrible question. It's a terrible question. Let me be frank with you. He affects winning, and everybody's out here bitching about him and all this stuff. He affects winning. He was plus 13 against Ole Miss and didn't hit a shot, and everybody's acting like the world's caving in. The guy's a damn good player. He didn't shoot it well today. What did he have? Who had 0 turnovers for us today? Darion Williams. 6 rebounds, 4 turnovers. 4 assists, 0 turnovers. So everybody needs to shut the hell up about him. He's a damn good player, and the shot's going to fall. I'm tired of answering questions about him. He's really good. We're thankful to have him. Next question.
So,
yeah, a couple things. Number one, I think Will, obviously there is obviously I am the avatar for the person that
Yes.
he's yelling at there. So
Yes.
I get that. He also obviously had that answer loaded up, rehearsed, and ready to go.
You and I have been doing this long enough to know that it's not necessarily the question, how it's phrased, how it's positioned. And I'll give you credit. The question was a good question. What's your level of concern? Not are you concerned? What's your level of concern? It's very innocuous. Hey, man,
Yeah.
tell us how you like Darian's game right now. Or what is your level of concern here? It wasn't putting it on Darian. You're just asking the coach. So once I saw the clip, I was like, oh, he was just waiting for somebody to ask a question about Darian. And we know this, and we have enough evidence from Will Wade so far this season alone with NC State that he's been very calculated in how he goes about these press conferences, whether it's a pregame press conference or a pregame chat with Matt Chazanow on the radio broadcast where he went WWE shoot promo after a win about casual players, which you notice he didn't mention Darian Williams in that situation. So who's he talking to? Who's he communicating to? Is he communicating to fans? Is he also sending a message not so subtly through the media? There's all sorts of things that are calculated into what Will Wade's trying to do. And in this particular case, it didn't matter who asked the question about Darian Williams. He had it ready to go. And we know this.
Yeah. As I famously said to Heather Lutz when she decided not to go out with me when I was 20 years old. Hey, you're not the first to dump me, and you won't be the last.
Mm-hmm.
So, Will, you're not the first coach to yell at me, and I promise you won't be the last. So that didn't necessarily bother me. What did bother me was it was not a bad question.
It wasn't a bad question.
It was not a terrible question.
It wasn't.
It was a relatively benign baseline question to get his temperature of how he's feeling about, yes, nominally the best player on his team. He is their leading scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Also the preseason ACC player of the year. Also the highest paid player on their team. So I didn't take it as him yelling at me per se, as he was yelling at the fans who have been perhaps questioning a lot of the things that Darian has done or hasn't done. Mm-hmm. I took it as him trying to motivate Darian, because what I think ultimately Will's trying to do, and what I think Will's trying to do is coach the team that he has. And he's trying to motivate the player that he has, because you can't change your roster now. And the only way for them to get home is for them to get more out of Darian. They have shifted to make Kadir Copeland the bus driver of this team. Yep. That was the right move to make. A lot of what they try to do is use Copeland in a two-man game with Van Allen Lubin, drive and kick. Mm-hmm. Williams can be one of the shooters that you drive and kick to. Absolutely. I think what he's trying to do is solve a problem in front of him. Mm-hmm. That's what he's trying to do. So I don't begrudge him for that. No. I don't. But, sir, I've coached one. I've covered one coach with multiple national titles. And his quote was, you ask really good questions. Yes, I fucking do. So don't tell me it was a terrible question. Now, of course, this all now gets on SportsCenter. They lead SportsCenter with it.
I know.
Every single national person's like, oh, you see, like Goodmans and all these other guys, like Terrence Oglesby, who he knew from Clemson. Oh man, I love that. I would want my son to play for this coach.
He's backing me. He's backing up the player.
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, listen. I'd like to ask you an honest question. I'd ask Kevin Howell an honest question. Who did a better job of representing NC State in that press conference? The grad who asked the question, or the coach you're paying the $1 million to, mm-hmm. millions of dollars to? Mm-hmm. I think I know the fucking answer. Okay.
Yeah.
Like at some point, you got to put the Shakespearean theater aside.
Yes.
And I think he did that on Saturday with how he responded on Saturday to another question about Darian Williams. And again, you can coach your team, and I don't begrudge you the right to try to motivate your players. But at some point, you got to put the theatrics aside and use your private time with your players mm-hmm. as the time to motivate the players. Use your coach's show at a time to lecture the fans if you want to lecture the fans. But what really bothered me about what he was trying to do on Wednesday is you can't dictate what gets talked about or what gets asked. Okay? Mm-hmm. You want to go full state government media? Cool. Do that on your Twitter account. Do that on your socials. Do it with Matt Chazanow. You're not doing it in a post-game press conference where I'll give him credit. He has an in-person post-game press conference. Mm-hmm. Okay? So, but you can't dictate what gets talked about and what doesn't get talked about. All right?
Joe, what have I said?
And nothing happens in the triangle in a vacuum. Right? Like, Cam Boozer from the jump has lit the world on fire. Caleb Wilson from the jump has lit the world on fire. So your fans see those players and then look at Darian Williams and say, well, why isn't our horse doing what these stars are doing? Why can't we have a guy like that? And I think ultimately Will was yelling at Will there because he's the one who put this team together. And he is the one who has regrets about what the roster looks like and how it has come together in the way that it has. And he's the one who knows he has no one to blame but himself for how this team was put together. Now, the only thing he can do is try to coach it up and make it better.
Which is what he's trying to do.
And again, full respect for that, full salute for that. And that's what he's trying to do. So you can do that, but I'll give away my best part of the interactions because it was all over SportsCenter. I got cousins down in Florida texting me and calling me like, what the hell did you say to this guy? You know, everybody on the internet, Holden Thorpe, of all the people
I have
motherfucked in my life in a press conference, anyone who ever had the right to tell me like scorched earth like Will was, Holden Thorpe is number one on that list of people that I have disrespected in a press conference and grandstanded before. Like he had every right at the press conference where they fired Butch Davis. But like I had everybody and their mother in my phone and all over from all parts of the country, like texting me, sending me stuff, California, New Jersey, Florida. What the hell did you do? And I, tried to go through it a little bit, tried to explain it to it, but I'll give away my favorite interaction because after this happens, I have to go to the game on Saturday. I was going to go to the game on Saturday anyway, but I got to go to the game on Saturday. I got to ask another question. And so James Vito, my son, is junior at ECU, who wants to get in this business. So I told him after everything happened on Saturday, I said, now, why did I have to go to the game on Saturday? And why was it important that I ask a question? And he goes, to show him that you're not a bitch. And I said, you're right. You're right. You're not going to tell me what I get to talk about and what I get to ask.
Yeah.
That's not how this works.
Yeah.
You do what you want to do on your time, but as long as there's an open forum and you're going to allow people to ask questions, I'm going to be there and asking questions. That's how this works. You don't want to talk about it? That's on you. You want to use it to motivate your team? That's also on you. But don't tell me what to do with my time.
Have I not been saying, after a couple instances of the theatrics, as you put it, that Will Wade, in my estimation, is learning what it's like to be in a market that actually truly gives a shit about college basketball? Right?
Yeah.
Where the fans aren't just there for the ride. The
I was gonna
fans,
say, this is an important distinction. It's not the media.
no,
It's the fans who know and are paying attention.
at LSU, it's a hobby. It's something to do.
A distraction.
When we're not talking about LSU football and recruiting. Okay. At VCU, you want to talk about along for the ride. I'm not knocking VCU basketball. VCU basketball has a long history of success and coaches who have come through with success.
Including the one who
Including the
lost
one we just saw on Saturday with Ryan Odom, right? So VCU has a long history of success, but something tells me at VCU, it's not this. It's like, we're along for the ride. We're gassing you up. Hopefully we get to March. We got something to talk about. Put your arms around you, right? And then at McNeese State, hey, man, we're just happy you're here. You promised us 2 years. We got 2 years, and we got our name in the lights last season. So we thank you for that. But the one curiosity that I always had about Will Wade and all this stuff that was going on was, you understand this ain't LSU. You understand this is not VCU. This is not McNeese State, where you're just a good story and the Goodmans and Oglesbys and Dosters of the world can gas you up at these places because they're national guys. It is what it is. But on a day-to-day, you got to deal with what's going on at UNC. You got to deal with what's going on at Duke, and not just those two schools, the entirety of the ACC.
Yeah. I should add, I think the Darian Rippey decision the day before the Wake Forest game did contribute to his kind of anger and frustration level.
Just about to bring that up.
Because when you get here, and the way that Will got here this spring, all of the bluster, everything else,
which nobody asked him to do.
No one asked him to do, but he did it. There's a little bit of, I get it. If there are people here, and there's plenty of former players to tell you, hey man, Kay's gone, Roy's gone, the door's open. Let's put us back where we're supposed to be.
Sure.
Right. But the reality of it is Duke does not recruit players. Duke picks who they want on their roster. Look no further than Cooper Flagg, who's from New England. UConn won back-to-back national titles and couldn't so much as get a sniff from Cooper Flagg from Maine. What does that tell you? That K's gone, but the Duke machine rolls on.
Rolls on, man.
And I can tell you firsthand, I mean, it's a sad story about Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram's AAU coach from Kinston was Jerry Stackhouse. Jerry does not have a good relationship with Roy.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry didn't want Brandon Ingram to go to Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted him to go to State, Adidas. And his team was Adidas. I think it was team loaded. He was an Adidas guy. He wanted Brandon Ingram to go to State. Brandon Ingram, I think, essentially wanted to go to State. But Duke swoops in. They had Kevin Durant call him.
Mm-hmm.
Coach K had Kevin Durant call him and say, hey, this is how Coach K used me in the Olympics. This is how he'll use you.
Somewhere John Calipari and Adrian Wojnarowski are punching air.
What?
Because of that, right.
And sadly, State expended all of this effort into getting Brandon Ingram. And poor Rob Moxley ended up having a stroke. The assistant coach who had dedicated his life to getting Brandon. And obviously that's an extreme example, but the truth of the matter is this is a tough neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And the part of that tough neighborhood is Duke every year is going to have players that you're going to be like, well, how did they got Cooper Flagg this year, but surely they won't get another. Like I said, Boozer. Oh man, they got Boozer this year. Surely here comes this Rippy who apparently is this, you got to imagine Andrew Slater, Oklahoma City Thunder scout, whose job it was to go and scout like 12 and 13-year-olds, likely had identified Darian Rippy at whatever age and said, hey, here's a guy to watch. He gets this job at NC State. Likely the first thing he does is reach out to Rippy and say, hey, man, we got you. Let's go. Let's ride. Let's make this thing happen. So I can understand that frustration level. There is a reality of being here. There's a reality of understanding it. And I think there's different steps along the way that Will's now getting it too.
Mm-hmm.
His wife's whole family are Carolina people. I think he kind of understood that element of it.
Sure.
I don't think he understood the Duke element of it. I don't think he understood of how much State fans keep track of everything around them. Mm-hmm. And yes, there's a lot.
It's not just State fans. Carolina fans are paying attention. Duke fans pay attention. ACC people pay attention. And that's why I brought up the Ryan Odom thing on Saturday, because I went with my buddy Paul, my neighbor Paul. He ended up getting tickets. And we're like, cool, let's go, right? Because I wanted to go as to sit in the stands, okay? Because I wanted to see if it was any different.
You wanted to actually see the game?
Yeah, I know. I could see it's in 104, man. It was good stuff. Center court, baby. Anyway, the point is, I wanted to see if it was any different, right? And as this game is unfolding, and I texted you, I think I texted you and like Marks and some others. Anybody got eyes on Boo? Watching Ryan Odom, we know what that team is. And I think that's the part kind of moving these things forward. What is this team? What is NC State? What are they going to be now that we're at the midway point of the season? That's something that Will Wade did talk about. I heard a little bit of the radio chat with Matt Chazanow after the fact when I was in my car leaving. And Will Wade was absolutely on point when he said, look, man, we're at the midway point of the season. This is what it is. And we have to do X if we're going to get to where we need to be. So he understands all these things going on. But as I'm watching this all unfold, there is a discourse that's taking place around me about, hey, didn't NC State want Ryan Odom too? Like, wasn't he in the mix? Like, you're making a face.
Given the actual choice, I mean, maybe.
Well, but the point is that people are they're paying attention to, hey, this is a guy that was identified too, that was in the running for this job. And I'm seeing what's happening at Virginia, and you see what it is, right? And this is something that I wanted to coalesce to when it comes to the NC State team. And probably the biggest thing that, to your point, to essentially crystallize the point you're making and why Will Wade is probably mad at himself. And that's what this is all kind of coming out. I know what Pat Kelsey's team is at Louisville. I know what Duke's team is, right? I see what Hubert Davis is trying to do with Carolina this year with a little bit of ups and downs. And Virginia comes in looking like what?
A first-year program, NCAA tournament team, looking a lot like Ryan Odom's teams at VCU, looking a lot like Ryan Odom's teams at Utah State, looking like a better version of the UMBC team that beat Virginia and helped him get the job
ding. So
that he's at today.
Now we get to Will Wade and NC State. Does this look like a Will Wade team?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No. I don't think so. listen, I get it. I only went to one VCU game, but obviously we watched them at LSU. We saw them last year with McNeese. They always felt like athletic teams that were fast and could kind of overwhelm you a little bit with their skill and their athleticism. Yeah. I look at Ryan Odom's teams that I knew they would be a good 3-point shooting team. That's kind of what his DNA is. And sure enough, they had a Wolfpack hero for the day in Sam Lewis, who outscored them or had as many points as they did in the first half, right? Yes. 20 points. And that wasn't by accident. Also, the one thing obviously that Ryan Odom hit on is he's got 3 bigs, including DeRitter, who is their star and is their top paid player and is playing like their top paid player, which gets back to that Will's frustration. Yeah. You made this investment in Darian Williams, and now you're trying to say he's like some sort of glue guy. He's some sort of makes winning plays, dives on the floor, sets great screens like Shavlik Randolph back in 2003. Like, right. No. Yeah. We all watched Shav in high school. He's a scorer. Yeah. He's a shooter. Yeah. He's a baller, you know? Yeah,
it's just, and again, this is to wrap this part of it. I think it's just one of those things where, for our purposes, you want all 3 triangle schools to be good. You want high-level basketball. You want high-level competition. That's what makes this area tick, man. And my one concern was it's not that easy. It's not that easy.
Just because you say it and snap your fingers doesn't mean that's what's going to happen.
And I do wonder, and why I wanted to go on Saturday and just kind of sit there, is how much was this different? How much has this been similar to previous iterations of coaches who come in and you're thinking things are going to happen? Again, it's just year 1, so there's plenty of time to get this stuff out. But it felt a lot like previous situations where it was like, coming in thinking things are going to be different, and you're finding out it's a lot harder than you initially thought. A lot harder than you initially thought. Now, where do you go from here, right? And I think I feel like Saturday is probably an inflection point for NC State's season. And you got Virginia coming in after a 3 overtime thriller against Virginia Tech up in Blacksburg, in which they lost. And this is a team that wants to get up off the mat, having lost a road game, really trying to all right, what are we going to be this season? What are we going to do? How are we going to bounce back from this? And they took the game to NC State. NC State did not recover well. I know Will Wade talked about it after, that their offense led to some bad defense. I still think that based on what we've seen so far, where you can have a hero of the day, that's a defensive flaw straight up. I'm not saying that the offense was great, but those defensive deficiencies are present, ever present.
And those defensive deficiencies are directly related to putting a roster together that's not athletic.
Yes, that's a problem. So Saturday was this inflection point, watching Wade not be blustery. It was Ryan Odom who got the tech, not Will Wade. Will Wade's just sitting here. I'm looking over, and he's just like,
well, this is what happens when you pull the Uno reverse card on Darian Williams and don't get the response out of him that you were hoping for.
As this is happening, and you can back me up on this, people started texting me, well, what's he going to yell at now? Well, what are the theatrics going to be? And I said, no. There will be no theatrics today. Yeah. There will be no theatrics today. We are going to he's going to go into the bag of what coaches do, and he's going to do the classic, the other coach had his team better prepared for this game than I did. That's on me. And that's exactly what he said to Matt Chazanow after the game. And that's what he also said in the post-game press conference, which gets to you showing up, and which, by the way, winning plays, right? What was Darian Williams in this game?
It was minus 18 if we're going to go by the plus minus.
If we're so hell bent on pointing out plus minus like they did against Wake Forest, well, he's plus 13. Okay, well, he was minus 19 in this game, at least the last time I checked. So you followed it up.
I'm going to try this in the most productive way possible. You were obviously answering my question the other day, but part of you was talking to Darian. So were you surprised today that type of emotion didn't elicit more of an all-around type of contribution from Darian today?
Yeah, and I mean, look, your question was a fair question. The question was a very fair question last time. That was not directed at you.
I understand that.
I think that a lot of guys struggled on our team today. I don't want to pin on any one person. I mean, if you pin it on one person, it's on me. I didn't have us prepared. I didn't have us playing. How we're capable of playing. But there's so many little nuances, in the game We had a play drawn up for the first play that was supposed to get him it was going to be an open look. We kind of, Virginia Tech had run something similar, that Hansberry open look. And we were never able to execute it because we were just going a million miles an hour against the press, and we never got to it. And so the point is, if I could get us to execute that better, and he makes his first three on the left wing and he's wide open, I mean, who knows how the day goes, right? Maybe it's a totally different day, a totally different game. So I can only focus on us executing what we're supposed to do better and having better poise and not getting so sped up. Not all of us, not getting so sped up, so we give ourselves the opportunity. To play within the game plan and the framework of what we're trying to do. We just don't do that.
So that was Will Wade on Saturday.
Yeah, nobody likes counting stats anymore, and I get that. But in NC State's wins in the games that Darian Williams has played, he's averaging 19 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
In the losses, which he's played in all of them, he's averaging 11 points a game. But it's pretty simple sometimes. You can cook up whatever number you want. But the truth of the matter is he's admitting there too. Like, he drew up the first play of the game to be for Darian, to get Darian going. You know what that is? That's good coaching.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
So that's where NC State is. Going forward, to wrap the combo on State, because State honestly gave us the more interesting things over the week. But to wrap the combo on State, what they have going in front of them and what they actually have, what they've done to this point. If you're looking for what you would call statement games that show you we're here, we're turning things around, there's this reckoning, however you want to frame it, they haven't won them. Now, if you take all the bluster aside,
sure,
you take all the setup aside, you take let's say you could wave a magic wand and Will Wade doesn't do any of the stuff that he did leading up to this season, okay? And just we're having a normal one, so to speak. Metrics-wise, they're not bad, all things considered. The win over Boise State looks like a good win. The win over VCU looks like a decent win, all things considered. But in terms of their actual name games, we're talking Texas, Auburn, Kansas, Ole Miss, probably not going to be a good team. Wake Forest, probably not going to be a good team, right? It has been so far. And Virginia was an opportunity to turn that around. Virginia was an opportunity for you, like we talked about a couple weeks ago. Here are your opportunities. But now going forward, you got these three games that I don't think are going to tell you anything about NC State. Two of them are on the road. Boston College, Florida State, then Georgia Tech. You then go to Clemson on January 20th. Back at it with Pittsburgh and Syracuse, then back against Wake Forest. And you see another good team against SMU as it stands right now. Virginia Tech, decent squad, Louisville. So all of NC State's real big opportunities, as you've been pointing out, are happening when, Joe?
On the road. And now you have Kansas and Virginia, which were two home Q1 games that you lost.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones that you get to the end of the season and you're like, now all of a sudden you're in the same position that every post-Valdano NC State team has ever been except one.
Yeah.
And you're sitting here going, well, if we just beat Duke at home, if we just beat Carolina at home, and it's like you hope, as Will famously said, is not a strategy. They have 8 Q1 games as we speak left. 6 of them are on the road. Ultimately, you got to beat teams who make the field.
Mm-hmm.
I will go to my death arguing that. Boise could help them on that front. VCU certainly feels like they could help them on that front.
Mm-hmm.
Liberty could help them on that front. But not all of these Q1 games are going to be against teams who make the field. Notre Dame, for example, is one of the games that's a Q1 game right now because Notre Dame's in the top 75. To your point, there's more opportunities, but how many of them are like Saturday where they're in winnable situations?
Mm-hmm.
A team coming off a triple overtime loss, a team, quite frankly, in Virginia that hasn't had the schedule that you've had.
Nope.
They haven't been tested the way that you have. And that was a real opportunity. Horses for courses, sure enough. Virginia's size, I thought, bothered State in this game. But ultimately, the way that they started the game is why they were sunk. They weren't ready to play basketball. And it's been a couple of times now this year where they've played some games and you're like, hey.
Yeah, you can't have that.
Just so you know.
You can't have that on Saturday, given what you've had so far this season with an opportunity there. And getting back to the start of this conversation with the totality of the ACC, this is a better ACC than years past. And we're going to see that as the rest of this conference slate rolls on now that we're at the midway point. Speaking of which, Carolina. It's funny. Carolina fans will tell you there's a long history of early season conference road losses.
Mhm.
Typically, they happen in Atlanta. I mean, if you really
Typically,
if you want to have historical perspective, typically when you go to Atlanta, that's when you go, there it is, the scheduled loss down in Atlanta against Georgia Tech. This one happens against SMU with Boopy Miller going off. But then again, Boopy Miller's actually had a good season. These are things that I'll admit, I'm not exactly plugged into SMU basketball. So all credit in the world to Basket Under Review for pointing this out with Miller's 27 points and 12 assists in this game. If you look at it from the metrics, like you say, nobody wants to look at counting stats and want to look at all these other things.
Yeah.
Right now, Boopy Miller's having the kind of season that puts him up there with AJ DeBansta. Okay. Puts him up there with Caleb Wilson, who went through some freshman struggles in this game in the second half. I thought SMU did a really, really good job, similar to what the Michigan State game, of taking Caleb out of his game and also some freshman defensive mistakes and just not being set, just kind of being all over the place, right? But I thought this line was interesting that was brought up by Brian Ralph over at Basket Under Review. Per Torvik, Boopy Miller and Cam Boozer are the only two players in the country pairing an offensive rating north of 130 with usage rates above 25. So that's the kind of season that Boopy Miller's having at SMU, and they went nuclear on UNC. I think 60% from the field against the Tar Heels.
Blazing hot in the second half of this game.
There's an element there of sometimes the team just gets hot, everything's going in. Like Roy likes to say, everything's a lot easier when the ball's going through the basket. So there's an element of like that. You were just unworldly hot in that game. But with Carolina, there are some issues defensively that people have been worrying about, specifically with the guard play and just how much the Bogovic, Kyan Evans, Derek Dixon, like how is all developing while Seth Trimble was out? And what we're coming to find out, it's still a work in progress. And to a man, they were all unsatisfied with how they played defensively. SMU was absolutely driving it at them. They were having problems with it. Is that something they can overcome? Well, sure. You know, SMU, again, credit to SMU. They look to be a good team this year. And again, Caleb Wilson with some learning, growing pains as a freshman. I think ultimately UNC is going to be fine. But I think we all kind of recognize, and we had recognized, that if UNC is going to go anywhere this season, that backcourt has to solidify itself. You know what you've got in Seth Trimble. All right, now who's going to be the other guy? And I'm going to be really curious to see how Hubert Davis handles Kyan Evans, who you talk about roster construction and bringing guys in and what you think they can be. The thought process with Evans was, hey, he's got experience. Colorado State. He's had this kind of experience. Bring him in here. We'll be good to go. He has not lived up to what they thought he could be. Bogovic, I think, can be that guy, or do you just go the youth movement with Derek Dixon? So that's what Hubert has to figure out over the course of the next few games in conference play. They got a week off. They got Wake Forest on Saturday. That's kind of where we are right now with the Tar Heels.
Reminds me of last year they played Alabama. Alabama came to the Smith Center, lit them on fire from three. Carolina actually responded with 5 really good games in a row, including the win over UCLA, which ultimately helped them get into the tournament, and that loss down in Charlotte to Florida, where they played the national champs toe for toe, but ended up losing the game down in Charlotte. So how they respond from a poor defensive performance will say a lot about this team. I suspect it's different than last year's team. One thing that was kind of underrated in that game is I really think Vesser's been a catalyst for them this year.
He's been very good.
SMU has, I believe he's a Turkish player. He's a massive human being. And I thought he really controlled the interior in this game and kind of took Carolina out of what's been successful for them. Vesser's been a great passer and facilitator. And I think that really kind of slowed Carolina's offense on Saturday.
Meanwhile, Duke, again, they're still kind of figuring things out with certain parts of their rotation. Isaiah Evans was the story of that game with 28 points. Just an overall good game from what I watched. And then you go back to the Georgia Tech game. I think this is a totality thing of these slow starts against Georgia Tech and Florida State, coming off the Texas Tech loss, which was a loss that people kind of identified, including me, of, all right, they needed this. You're not quite there yet. Here's where you can get better. And you give Duke credit for not being sunk by how other teams have brought it to them, slowing things down and recovering from that and getting out here with wins. That's a sheer talent thing, right? Isaiah Evans, 28 points. That's gonna do something. Cam Boozer in the second half continues to be that guy. I get all that kind of stuff. But defensively, I'm guessing Shire is not really keen on what we've seen the last 2 games. I think the effective field goal percentage for Florida State in this game was 66%, if I'm not mistaken. That's not great.
Listen, 80 is a magic number in college basketball. Every college coach will tell you anytime you give up 80, you're in danger of losing. Go back to the Texas Tech game. They gave up 82 points. They lost. Georgia Tech, they gave up 79. Real close.
Real close.
Close to it.
And
they won. And in this game, they gave up 87. And it's
Mhm.
like you're playing with fire a little
Mhm.
bit because Georgia Tech and Florida State are not great offensive teams, regardless of how they play. Damon Stoudemire does a really nice job, though. There's a very NBA type mentality and setup to what Georgia Tech does and how they kind of attack things. And that's where you got to be a little bit cautious if you're Duke. You're solving problems in front of you, kind of like Will. Will's trying to solve the problem in front of him, but can't.
Yeah.
John is solving the problems in front of him, but what will that add up to as the year goes along? That's where you have to be concerned if you're Duke. Is do you have enough of the tippy top talent around Boozer, supporting Boozer around him to give them a chance to win the national championship? Again, we've said it before. We'll say it again. This is a 98 Tennessee type year. And when it kind of sneaks up on you, kind of like 2010.
Sure.
Hey, man, they're going to see Michigan in February. Would it surprise me if Michigan blew their doors off?
No.
Not in the least bit.
No.
But sometimes the bracket has a funny way of breaking, and you're sitting here going, well, shit, they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Arizona. They can't beat ...
Who's to say they'll see them? Okay.
Exactly.
We've seen this before at Duke specifically. I kept hearing in 2010.
Actually,
well,
their last two championships, because 15, remember, Kentucky was unbeaten.
Kentucky was unbeaten. Right.
They didn't play Kentucky.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, I'll never forget 2010 where it was like, well, you know, if they see this, they didn't.
Kentucky. It was John Wall and Boogie.
I didn't see them.
Did not have to play them.
Oh, but this Baylor team, super athletic. They were fine.
Yeah.
All things
I
considered.
forgot about that Final 8 Baylor game.
Yeah. That was they were fine.
This is why I don't like you, Duke. I don't give a shit if you win it when you're running hot.
Those years you're not supposed to.
You fucking steal them.
Take a hockey break here in a second. You might need to take like a beer Janu pause type, break from sweets and beer and alcohol. You know what you need to do?
Cake.
You got to go to Happy and Hale.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hale.
I decided to celebrate the last day of the Christmas vacation by getting into the Reese's peanut butter cookie dough that went unused. It's like the ready-to-eat cookie dough.
I don't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, typically the kids are like, oh, let's make cookies. Like to get crazy with it. Putting like a bunch of Bizarro. Let's put M&Ms in this. Sure, whatever, right? So they never got around to the Reese's peanut butter cookie dough, but I did. Last night, I ate one too many squares. I'm feeling it right now. You know how you can counteract that? Going to Happy and Hale. Getting something green. A little roughage, if you will. So if you've got some 2026 goals, I'm going to eat better in 2026. Hey, there's one way to do it, and that's to visit our friends over at Happy and Hale. Because not only are you eating better, you're actually getting delicious food. Straight up. Good quality food. And you can download the app today. Use that promo code OG25. Get 25% off your first order. Big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer. You can check them out online at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. They can help you with your personal legal needs. Maybe you've got a small business like us. You need contracts, that kind of stuff. They can write those up for you. Again, go to wh.lawyer. Of course, our friends over at Hometown Realty. Check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. Holidays are over. You're bursting at the seams. You need a new house. You see all this new construction, right? What about builder incentives? That house has been sitting on the market for a few months. What's the deal there? Well, the people who know are at Hometown Realty. So check them out at myhtr.com. And speaking of your house, let's say you're not moving, but you're still looking to do some improvements, or you want to get ready for the spring. You want to get some actual usage out of that Four Seasons room, your screened-in porch, but the sun's in your face. You don't have to worry about that with Bloom & Blinds. They got all sorts of things that they can do for you. Automation, outdoor screens for your outside areas, all that kind of stuff. So check them out online at bloominblinds.com. Again, that's bloominblinds.com, or call them directly at 919-980-9815. Again, that's 919-980-9815. 98-15. I asked a simple question on, what was it? Was it Saturday night? It might have been Saturday night. Can we just have a normal one with Freddie, who was in net? Can we just have a normal one? And turns out we can't, because the Canes had a 3-1 lead, and then they blew it and lost 5-3 to the Colorado Avalanche on Saturday.
I apologize to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Why?
When Kachikov got hurt, I was like, oh, it'll be okay.
Well, here's the thing.
Disaster every time. Ever since then, it's been a disaster.
I'm not. Has Freddie Anderson been an issue this season? Yes.
Yes, Butch Davis. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Had I known, I wish I had.
I wish
I had known. The second Butch Davis, right? We should get him on soon.
Yes, ever. There's a race for a $100 bill. Butch, Herb, and the Easter Bunny. Which one's going to get there first?
I was told a long time ago in a conversation I had with Butch Davis's lawyer that when it was all said and done, we'd be able to talk to Butch. So it might be time, because it is all said and done for Butch. It's done. It's 2026. He's not coaching, right? Right. Last time I checked,
hey, Miami's about to play for the national championship.
Hey.
So he's going to be sniffing around. Oh, I coached Mario. He was on my staff. This is me. This is my national championship.
Maybe you know what? I should reach out.
The dumbest single note I've ever seen an SID put in a fucking pregame note. The last time Butch Davis was here, he coached the Dallas Cowboys to a Super Bowl championship.
Oh, right.
It's like,
right.
So that wasn't on the SID. He was forced. He was forced to put that note in there.
So what you're saying is I should DM Drew and be like, "Yo, what's your dad up to?" See if he wants to get on.
No,
I haven't.
I will not be on the show if you're
I
going to have
have
Butch
not
on.
communicated with Drew Davis in a long.
I will not be on the show if you're going to have
in a long time.
Now, if you want to get Herb, that's the one.
That's never happening.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that's
never
the one I
happening.
would talk to.
Just like I don't think we're going to be. Yeah, that's not happening. Regardless, back to the Canes, the other Canes. Not the Miami Hurricanes.
Not the U.
Not the U. Let's talk about the Canes itself. Look, has Freddie Anderson been great? No, he is not. He is not. He's had his ups and downs.
Has he been replacement level?
No, he is not.
That's the problem.
He has not been replacement level.
Yeah.
And it is something with Bussy, who continues to get the challenges. It's not like Bussy was great on Thursday night, but he bounced back with a complete game, Canes game, on Sunday. Okay. And
they are playing a lot of hockey right now.
Well, this is all leading up to the Olympic break.
I know.
So this is my takeaway over the last couple of weeks with these multiple blown leads in the third period. This is not a one-person failure. This has been a collective failure. If you don't believe me, all you got to do is listen to Jordan Stahl and the way he's been the last couple of games in the postgame. And again, credit to Jordan Stahl, who's out there talking, by the way.
He's the captain.
He's the captain. Hey,
kind of part of it, buddy.
We've had situations where the captains don't want to talk. Okay?
Not Jordan.
But not Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan always talks. So props to Jordan for straight up saying, hey, man, the message has been sent, but for whatever reason, it's not getting through.
Sure.
Even he was saying, I'm paraphrasing here, like, I've yelled it across the room. Like, these guys know what the deal is. Rod's the same situation. So, like, on Saturday night, that was a collective failure. That's not on one person.
Yeah.
And
now, to be fair, the Avalanche have been by far and away a war machine in the NHL this year.
Yes, they have.
Almost like they're on pace to obliterate the record for points in the season.
But we're talking defensive mistakes. We're talking goalie. There's just been a lot of mistakes.
Sure.
And then yesterday, they go out there and they actually have, from start to finish, one of their more complete games. Now, you could go into this attitude because I saw, it was Luke that sent me the graph of expected points as the season progresses.
Yeah.
And the Canes are in a downward trajectory from where they were based on their recent play. Totally get that. But this is what I would say. This is why we should look back at the beginning of the season, pushing through all the injuries and not having a complete roster all year long and having the start to the season they had. That's why they're in the position that they're in. That's why they're floating up and down atop the Eastern Conference or their own division. So it's a good thing that they powered through, and they deserve a lot of credit for getting there. And this is probably the most difficult portion of the season because of the way the schedule is set up ahead of the Olympic break. My general optimistic attitude about the Carolina Hurricanes going forward is just get to the fucking break. Get to the break without the bottom falling out, which I don't think it will. Enjoy nearly a month off and get back at it.
You want the trade to come before or after the break? If they're going to make a big deal.
Before the break.
Before.
It has to be before the break.
I agree.
Has to be before the break. And it gets back to what we've talked about. It ain't for a goalie.
No.
It's for another forward.
Well, it might need to.
It's not. I don't.
You might need to break off an asset for one.
No, I think we are getting to the point. I think that's why the Thursday to Sunday for Bussy was probably a good sign in the right trajectory of this being transitioned over to Bussy completely.
Right.
You see what I'm getting at?
No, I know, but you still need a second guy.
You're betting on Eric Tulsky replacement level math to tell you that Freddie will be fine after a mental reset after the break. That's what you're betting on.
Right.
That's what you're betting on. And getting guys back as well. Because that's the other thing. You're counting on Slavin being back.
Sure. They're missing their two best players, Slavin and Jarvis.
Like these are all things that after a break, after the litany of issues they've had injury-wise, you're like, for heaven's sake, can we just get there as healthy as possible? Get everybody back and ready to go. And that's when you start the push.
I just hope they don't use the Slavin and Jarvis absences as a reason not to make a major move.
I don't think that's what's going on.
And I don't think that's their mindset. I think Tom Dundon's mindset has always been, if we're going to make a big move, it kind of sort of has to be in the middle of the year, even though I get why he thinks that way. But I actually think they have a pretty good asset collection right now that they could make a move. Again, it could just be for Kadri from the Flames. And
you keep on that.
Because sometimes your boy's right about things.
All right.
I have no insight into what Eric Tulsky's up to. He can't even look at me like you're his muse.
I haven't even been to a game.
I know.
Well, I mean, up in the press box. I've been to games, but I haven't. In fact, I'm going tomorrow. I am going as a fan.
15 games in 31 days.
Dude,
it's
nuts.
Wild.
Now we are scheduled to talk to Rod this week.
Okay.
Just to kind of be like, all right, man. Little Rod therapy, you think?
Yeah, he's probably gonna need a.
But yeah, tomorrow night
we're here. We've made it.
We made it. Made it to January 6th. We're here.
Capitol uprising.
Here we go. I'm gonna storm Lenovo in this bad boy.
There we go.
You think somebody will say something to me?
Why wouldn't they?
I'll wear an OG hat so you know it was me.
Ooh.
So you know it was me.
There are many topics for lightning rounds today on OMG.
Dude, there was so much college football happening over the break. I don't even know where to start. That's actually, you mentioned Mario Cristobal in Miami and all that kind of stuff. I believe that, and I was texting with George Sedano. The true you is coming out of my guy, George. And he's like, hope Duke's enjoying that ACC championship. I was like, you understand that Miami's not even in this position without Manny Diaz sleeper agent. You know this, right? If it's not for Manny, you're not here.
Right.
So don't be trying to clown Manny.
No.
Thank Manny. And if you actually pull this thing off,
give him a ring.
Send his ass a ring. Okay? Which, by the way, it is Cuban time in college football. We got Mario. We got Mendoza. All things Cuban coming together, baby. Let's go. Now,
where's your hat?
It's over there. I should probably, if maybe I'll wear it on Thursday. Since we have the college football playoff resuming, the quarterfinals resume on Thursday.
Dumbest schedule ever.
It is a terrible schedule. It is a terrible schedule. I don't know what to do with my hands as it relates to the Hurricanes and the Mario Cristobal discourse. Because remember, maybe it was just you just had to get through November. You're right. Like Mario's unleashed once you get outside the month of November. And since the playoffs don't take place in November, it's all good.
I hope for Miami's sake, they have classical music playing in his headset and he doesn't have the ability to make any calls during the game. That is my hope for Miami. I said this after watching the Notre Dame game. I'm mad at myself for cashing the ticket.
Yeah.
Miami has the best roster in college football.
That defense is outstanding.
Their defensive front absolutely bullied the Ohio State. Made them look like little babies. Kindergarten was in play for that game. Now the question is, can they just get out of Mario's way?
Well,
just let Mario we're not even rolling the ball out Larry Coker style. Like I'm telling you, they actively need to disconnect his headset.
Are things not turning up Mario Cristobal given all the drama around Ole Miss?
But Ole Miss now, you're old enough to remember Michigan when they won the national title, when their coach, Bo Schembechler, famously told Frieder, hey man, you don't want to coach Michigan? Get the fuck out. And they made Steve Fisher the head coach.
Steve Fisher.
And they win the national championship in 1989 with an interim coach.
Yes.
Ole Miss was a terrible defensive team as the year went along, even up to the regular season finale, in part because of the personality of Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss has suddenly found ways with Golding as a defensive guy, as their head coach. They flat out outplayed Georgia on defense. Okay.
But I think
then the quarterback was a magician.
Oh, okay.
Game.
Look, Chambliss was fantastic.
Magician.
That being said, the difference between Fisher and Michigan is I've seen this reference before. Totally get it.
Yeah.
Totally understand that. We've seen weird things like this happen. But you know what didn't happen in those days? You didn't have a messy head coach out here undermining you the entire way. So this is going to go one of two ways for Ole Miss. Either they're going to win this thing out of spite for Lane Kiffin.
Right.
Or this is the week where everything catches up to them. And the drama behind who's coaching, who's not coaching, who's going to leave, tampering, is Lane Kiffin poisoning the well? All these things are going on this week leading up to the biggest game in Ole Miss history.
By the way, there are 2 playoff games. If you're going to have an interim coach, your 2 playoff games were rematches. Like, what a fucking lucky star are you under?
Right.
That you're playing, you have no fucking coach, and you're playing 2 teams you've already played this year? Like, what the fuck?
So things have been coming up Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I do think it catches up to them on Thursday. I think there's just too much mess around. And Miami's defense is too fucking good.
Again,
I know
let's
you're Mario Cristobal.
Disconnect the headsets. Let's play Vivaldi's 4 Seasons.
Right.
Let's keep the man out of all decision making. I'm actually think it's a win for Miami that it's not Georgia.
I agree,
because Beck would have been in his head.
Totally.
I think they lose. He takes a dump in his pants. He throws another 5 interceptions.
Look, everything's coming up Mario, man.
But this is
telling you right now.
This is a great setup for them.
We're getting the Cuban Bowl.
And then on the other side of the bracket,
we're getting the Cuban Bowl.
Speaking of nice setups, Indiana gets an Alabama team that, quite frankly, probably shouldn't have been in the field.
No.
And boy, did they bully ball them in the Rose Bowl. They looked really, really good. And now they get Oregon again. Like, speaking of rematches, we get another rematch. I'm so sick of these rematches. We get another one. Oregon takes Texas Tech and all their money in that game down in Miami. Speaking of Miami, Texas Tech, like, I'm watching this game going, guys, you spent that was like a Dave Doran wet dream, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You spent all this money on defense. You have this great defensive line.
What happened?
This great defense. You're like, wait a second.
So,
hold on a second.
I'm going to be a complete asshole here. So, okay, did Texas Tech get on the board against Oregon? Or did JMU get on the board against Oregon? What? So if we're going to take all those first takes,
Oregon dominated them. Oregon's defensive front pushed them around.
There's all sorts of things that we're trying to extrapolate from a limited data set, right?
Yeah.
So like everybody's trying to point out that Indiana's the first quarterfinal bye team to win.
They are conference champion too.
Except one thing that we're looking past, if you want to get into the Vegas metrics, I believe the favorites in the quarterfinals of the college football playoff 12-team era, the favorites are like 6-2.
Okay.
So I get it. You get your buys, but the Vegas favorites have won in these situations.
Sure.
Right. So there is something to be said about the seeding, the makeup of how this bracket gets put together. That might be more of a flaw than anything else. But technically the better teams are the ones that are winning these games, or the Vegas favorites are winning that. So the one thing though that bothers me, to wrap the conversation on the college football playoff, because obviously we have more to talk about on Thursday. At some point, we have to hold the college football tastemakers accountable. I think it's not the transfer portal that's ruining college football. It's not NIL that's ruining college football. It's actually the Joel Klatts of the world, the Josh Pates, the Paul Feinbaums, that can't just straight up admit, man, Indiana taking it to Alabama was impressive. Instead, we get the Paul Feinbaum, Well, it's actually more interesting that Alabama lost than anything else. Like the weird convoluted way that we're going to make this about the SEC, who, by the way, it just means more unless
they're only playing each other. They're their only wins so far. Playing each other.
Apparently. It only means more when they play each other. So let's make the whole season out of the SEC. And I'm sure that's what Greg Sankey's ultimate takeaway is. We'll see. We're so good, we should just play each other the rest of the way to truly determine who the champion is. So my point here is that we get so bent out of shape about, well, no group of 5 team belongs in here. Then why is Texas Tech in here? Alabama got their ass handed to them. I guess they didn't belong, right? And the Notre Dame fans, get the fuck out of my mentions because you didn't belong in here either, for heaven's sake. So the thing, no. But the thing is, we do this fantasy booking of like, oh, well, Notre Dame would have done better. How do you know that? Because Alabama getting in, the whole point of Alabama getting in was, well, we know they'll be able to handle themselves. If anything, they probably leave the situation against it. Think about Ohio State. Think about Alabama. And think about all the levels of pressure that guys like Ryan Day, who's just coming off a national championship, getting embarrassed by Indiana in the championship game, and then getting Mario Cristobal to beat you. Okay? So he's got to hear about that all freaking season. Meanwhile, Kalen DeBoer is probably going, should I have taken that other job? Should I come back next year? After they just got embarrassed by Indiana. So what we're finding out is in the world of money and the recruitments and everything else, all the stuff that we thought we knew is out the window. It's all out the window.
Well, play calling still ultimately matters.
Fair.
I think you're seeing a lot of that happening. But this gets back to one of your central theses of sports.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the games have to matter. The wins have to matter.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, okay, cool. You think Ohio State's going to beat so-and-so. You think Alabama's going to beat so-and-so. I think Dan Wolken tweeted this, like what this playoff is illustrating is that all those teams you thought were war machines and were national champions, if they had to play in a tournament, guess what? It wouldn't have looked like the way that it did.
Well, there's two things. The portal and NIL allows somebody like Kurt Signetti to do what he's doing at Indiana. Okay.
Oh, straight up. They got pushed around last year in their 2 games. He went out and bought a new offensive line and a new defensive line.
So that's the baseline.
Yeah.
That's the baseline. But to the idea of what college football is, college football has always been for decades about the hypothetical.
Yes.
So if you really wanted to fix college football, it's not going to a 16-team format. It's not about conference winners and also the kind of crap that's going on. If you truly wanted to bring it back to the core essence of college football, you go back to the bowl systems and you spit out a +1. The greatest thing that ever could have happened post BCS was the +1. Y'all go to your bowl games, y'all do your thing, and then based on that criteria, we then spit out what we think is
the top 2 teams.
The top 2 teams, right? Now, that being said, all the people that talk about the death of the bowls and all that kind of stuff, have you looked at the ratings for bowls?
I have not watched a single bowl. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there. People are.
Sure.
Ratings for bowls have not dipped. In fact, we've seen gains in bowls. Shout out to Steve Sarkisian, who straight up said our Michigan-Texas game will probably get better ratings than some of these CFP games because it's Michigan-Texas. I don't think he's nice. I have to go back and double check on that, but I see what he's getting at. Bowl game ratings have been good. People like college football. People like betting on college football. There's nothing else going on during the holiday break. So yeah, you know what? Some of these bowl games with all the ridiculousness of the Cheez-It Bowl or the Mayo Bowl or the Pop-Tarts Bowl, there's enough frivolity that happens that you just check it out just to see the ridiculousness of it all. So things are fine with college football, and all the doomers out there are only doomers for one reason and one reason only. What they've always been able to get by on, just talking about the SEC, talking about the big names like Alabama, it's now forcing you to go, shit, I got to take these teams seriously now? Do not like that. Now, last point about college football is we have entered into the portal. Duke is dealing with their general manager going to Florida State, but I know what Duke wants to do to get Darian Mensah back. Got it. NC State.
CJ
Bailey's coming back.
Yeah.
And then they'll shop at Aldi, Lidl, wherever you want to go to find your replacement level guys.
They took the Buffalo receiver who was clearly betting on college football by running out of bounds.
What, Snow?
I don't know his name, but I raise an eyebrow.
But I know what State's doing with Dave Dorn.
Oh yeah.
Dave Dorn believes that he'll be able to plug in who he needs to plug in to make the stuff replacement level. And
they got Duke Scott coming back too, running back.
So it's all good. North Carolina, I don't know what is going on. They got the Wisconsin guy who's a Wake Forest dude.
Sure.
So now you got a room with Gio Lopez and Billy Edwards. I believe that's the guy's name. Now I'll go with Andrew
Foundation, Joe. It's the foundation.
I will go with Andrew Jones's reporting over at Tar Heel 24/7 that this is a relationship that made a lot of sense. And Bill kind of identified the guy, and you got Bobby Petrino coming in to be the offensive coordinator. He kind of fits a particular prototype. Cool.
What about Bobby Petrino?
Yeah, you forgot about Bobby, right? And I asked around, I'm like, so are they settling with this quarterback situation? Not exactly a name guy, because they're going to invest in better line play. They're going to invest in skill position to work with what they have. And the general consensus that I've received in texting some people is, we don't know. I was like, okay, I guess we'll find out as that goes on. But yes, they have the foundation, Joe.
We'll all find out together.
They do have the foundation. They do have the foundation, which of course gets us to the final item in the lightning round.
Topic, stack it up. Julio's roll back it up. Well, I know what we'll do. A lightning round.
So we mentioned Raheem Morris got fired by the Atlanta Falcons late yesterday. So thank you for beating the Saints. Your job here is done.
Forever grateful.
Forever grateful, Raheem. Send him some stuff send him some Panthers gear, right?
Of course, that everyone knew this was going to happen either way. And TJ Yates could have been the offensive coordinator in Carolina, but
neither here nor there.
Or Arthur Smith.
We knew that Kevin Stefanski was going to get fired by the Browns. That's official as of today.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if we knew that, but
no, there were reports yesterday that Stefanski was, when everybody's doing the Sunday show stuff and the info guys were talking, the expectation was that Stefanski was going to get fired. As though what's happening in Cleveland is Stefanski's fault.
Okay.
Next man up to deal with that dumpster fire up in Cleveland, right?
Sure.
And then did somebody else just get fired?
No, they kept the Bengals coach is coming back.
Okay.
Pete Carroll also got fired. So if you really want to go through the Bill Belichick carousel, you have the Giants, which is where he should be the coach, open. You have the Browns, which if they really want to go back and get a mulligan on letting the 6-time Super Bowl champion go, well, they could go back and hire him. You've got Atlanta, who had a chance to hire him after he was fired by New England, who could go back and say, you know what, we really should have gotten him. And now you got Tom Brady, who's back and says, well, I hired one septuagenarian coach. Maybe I should give another a chance.
Quick note from Seth Wickersham. He posted this on Blue Sky. One of the reasons the Falcons did not hire Bill Belichick in 2024, per me, Don Van Natta, and Jeremy Fowler, is that they did not want to be searching for a new head coach in 2 years after he presumably would break the record, the NFL wins record. So about that, it's like Thanos meme. It all brought you back to me, right? Now look, on one hand, if you're a Carolina fan, you're sending like real clips, some sizzle clips of like, here's Bill in the offseason. No, send him the Super Bowl shit. Send him the old shit. You want Mike Lombardi distracted, texting his NFL people, hey, look, there's still an opportunity here, right? And to your point, these are all tied to Bill in some form or fashion, right? There's the Giants. He loves the Giants job. Bring it home with the Browns, right? Full circle moment. Got that. And of course, you know my galaxy brain theory that the ultimate fuck you from Tom Brady to Bill Belichick is nobody in this league wants you, but I'll bring you in and we can get this wins record. And guess who you have to thank for it? Me. Don't think that's not a possibility, okay? Tom Brady is that effing petty. He's that competitive and petty that this would be the final nail in the coffin of
where are the Raiders
who does this
going,
belong to?
Where are the
Raiders
Raiders
are going
going
anywhere. And also, if you've got Jordan Hudson as your girlfriend still, and I have no reason to believe that they're not going to be breaking up. I mean, heck, she's even getting lazy. She had like just reposted her New Year's Eve thing the other day. She gets to go to Vegas, Entertainment Center. Think of the reality shows you can do. Like I'm just telling you, it's right there for him. So chances Bill Belichick is the head coach of the Tar Heels by the end of the week. Percentage.
I was just thinking of Jordan Hudson on Circus. She could do like a residency there.
Nah, give her more credit than that. She'll be at like Planet Hollywood or something. I have no idea.
I'm just thinking of the possibilities.
I get it.
Combine all of her interests.
I'm putting it at.
Why would any of the? I mean, I know why we're saying they could, but why would any of them legitimately want to hire him?
And he would legitimately want to hire him?
Yeah,
because
at this point, I'm saying
because they tried the young guy thing. In certain cases, didn't work out. That's why.
It would take a true rabbi to hire him. A true. Does he have a true rabbi? If he did, they're already on his staff at Carolina.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm putting it at 80%.
That he's the coach at Carolina at the end of the week.
Yes.
Oh, I'll put it at 98%.
98%?
Like it will take a true Christmas, New Year's miracle, Festivus, Three Kings Day miracle, whatever one's left.
That would be
Chinese New Year.
No. Yeah, we got Tres Reyes Magos coming your way tomorrow, actually. Big thanks to our friends at Two Roosters. You can check them out at tworoosters.com. New month, new flavors. But more importantly, with all these games that the Canes are playing in January, at the arena, get the Slavin Sunday.
The problem here is I've seen Jared at the arena for the last 2 basketball games.
Mm-hmm.
And he says to me, he goes, you're right that the Slavin Sunday is the best deal in the arena. I go, don't you dare raise that price.
Don't you dare do it.
He's like, I know, but.
So go to tworoosters.com. Check them out in the arena, obviously. Better yet, just drop on by and check out their new flavors. Big thanks to our friends at the Butcher's Market. They bring you the mailbag, they bring you OG Live, and they bring you fantastic cuts of meat. Okay? And speaking of the Canes, if you're thinking about tailgating on one of these warmer days, go get a sandwich at the Lake Boone location and then head over to the arena.
All winning ideas.
And if you're so busy, because things have fired back up again, like junior hockey's back up and running. Had to sign my kid up for high school hockey today. So that's not stopping anytime soon. Is that a thing? Yeah. Triangle high school hockey registration was today for club teams. So
high school teams don't have high schools? High school teams?
Enloe. Yeah, no, Enloe's got a team.
Oh, okay.
So for the spring. So I just signed Jacob up for Enloe Eagles hockey. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, my point is, you're running around.
Mikey P to make Enloe Eagle merch? Enloe Eagle hockey merch?
They got stuff. Our friends at Basics actually do that for them.
Oh, okay, cool.
So what I was saying, though, is that with all the hockey firing back up again, which, by the way, next week, I'm not here.
What days?
Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday.
Jeez Louise.
I'm going to Salt Lake. I forgot to tell you.
I don't even have a calendar.
Sorry.
Having a meeting. Apologies.
I'll go today to get a calendar from the Staples.
Yeah, go get a calendar. So, so I'm going to Salt Lake for a tournament, the Grizz Cup in Salt Lake City.
It's a sickness, but go ahead.
I'm going to get all the dirty sodas.
Sickness.
Shout out to the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what's going to happen.
So you're busy. So go to the Butcher's Market and get a pre-made meal. That's what it's all about.
Perfect.
Go to thebutchersmarkets.com. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. They're OGs that when we drop the NASCAR style shirt, they're on the car. Same with the Butcher's Market. Same with Two Roosters.
Mikey sent it to us, right?
He sent it to me. I don't know if he sent it to you or not.
I think I saw it.
He sent me a version of it. Let me see if I can find it.
Did you like it?
Yes, I did like it, actually. If you're watching on YouTube, there it is. That's what it looks like. Copiers Plus Racing. Although I told him, I'm like, Copiers Plus in the hood, maybe we make it OG Media Racing or OG Media Podcasting. Like that's on my NASCAR style hat. Regardless, the Mosquito Authority logo is on that bad boy. So check them out, Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. And of course, our friends at Lawn Leaf Swine. Check them out online at lawnleafswine.com. They've got specials going on throughout the week. They got their steak nights. They got pasta nights. They got their brunches on Sunday. And of course, most importantly, they carry OG Light, which, by the way, will be available at RDU.
Yeah, this is
month.
Exciting.
Have we
Very
talked
excited about that?
Have we talked to Glenn about the QR code?
No,
handle?
you just need to remind me. I'll zap them today.
All right, we'll do that today. So head on over to lawnleafswine.com. All right, let's get out of here with some Hey Joe. I put in some voicemails here to the OG Sports phone. It's always there for you. In fact, I would suggest to Will Wade next time he wants to get some stuff off his chest, just call the OG Sports phone.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
I'll admit, I got lost in getting ready for today's show, and these are in no particular order. So let's just go ahead and start with the 920.
Hey guys, hope you had a good Christmas and a good New Year's. I don't know. There's about 5 minutes left in the NC State game, and I turned it off probably 5 minutes before halftime. I decided it was best for my Wolfpack mental health to go to the Y and get a workout in and do a little shopping and just casually pay attention to the score and watch a little Twitter period. I'm a Will Wade fan. I'm still glad they made the hire. I still think it's a good coach. He's still a good coach. But, boy, there's just times we look, and I put it out, it looks like we're 5 guys at a noontime YMCA basketball game, never knowing each other, don't know where we're going to go, and are you going to drive, or are you going to shoot? Who's going to rebound? We just look discombobulated, and that's very disappointing this point into the year period. And it looked like UVA came out and slapped us in the face. Oh, you want the ball? Bam, in the face. You want to take a shot? Wham, in the face. It just looked like we were like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll take it. It just looked uninspiring, very disappointing. Good win against Wake, and I don't want to say a horrible loss to UVA, but not a great loss at home. So I guess we just keep going on, but I'm going to stick with my feeling that I still think Will is a good coach. It's his first year. That sounds like an excuse, and it shouldn't be after all the hype they put out. I'm kind of disappointed the way things are going, but I got to give him benefit of the doubt. It is year one. He's got to get better, or this will go down as a miserable year, period. But I don't know what else to do. He's our coach. I'm going to follow him and hopefully get a few more W's. And this actually turned into a very depressing call, so I better hang up. Bye, guys.
Now, look, season's not over. And like we've said, like he understands what he needs to do. He understands the team that he has. The question is, can he pull something out of it? So we'll see. I mean, yes, definitely an interesting year one that was not as advertised, but that ship has sailed. So what are you going to make of it? That's kind of my attitude going forward with NC State basketball. What are you going to make of it? Let's go to 919.
So the Panthers, after beating the Buccaneers and having a lot of momentum, lose decisively to the Seahawks and put up a pretty poor effort against the Buccaneers and lose. But then on a series of tiebreakers in a 2-point game that they have nothing to do with between the Falcons and the Saints, they become the NFC South champions when all the expectations are gone. Per the law of the wolf, are the Panthers triangle good?
Yes. By the way, just saw breaking news. Cardinals moving on from Jonathan Gang.
Do we have a connection to the? Oh, well, I guess that's the site of where he lost to the Eli Manning. I don't know. Get redemption.
Do you remember? Because you and I usually have a entertaining time watching coaches. You know, like the Matt Rule. Like I'm gonna coach you. Okay, cool.
Don't say yes, sir.
I want you to be coached. Do you remember? Like it was Jonathan Gannon's like first meeting with the team.
He's so awkward.
Like,
take the bus.
Did you take the bus?
Yeah. Who took the bus?
Who took the bus? And everybody's just kind of looking. They're playing dramatic music, and all the players just looking at like, where's this going? Sometimes you can tell from the jump, this ain't going to work. Yeah, that was definitely one of those instances. All right, let's go with 336. And yes, the answer to the question, the Panthers are triangle good. It's very appropriate.
Living in Charlotte, North Carolina feels pretty good right now. The Panthers had 4 chances earlier on in the season to make the playoffs, and they didn't. They could have beat the Saints first time, and, you know, Tyler Shugg's real coming out party didn't happen. They could have beat them a second time, didn't happen. Could have beat the Seahawks, went to the division last week, didn't happen, and they could have beat the Bucs yesterday, but that didn't happen. But praise God, they were bailed out by the prior success Bryce Young had, specifically against the Falcons, and that occurred again this year. So they earned wins against Dallas, Green Bay, and the Rams in an improvement year, something we all needed to see. But this is overall just great for the city. It's great for the state. It's great for the overall morale of the franchise. Whether they win, lose, or draw against they can't draw because it's playoffs, but they win or lose against the Rams. This exposure in year 2 under Canales and Bryce Young's true second year fully starting as the starter of the Carolina Panthers is huge. Momentum in the NFL is huge. And I feel like for this franchise, they needed that to further develop out the roster, experience, and to get into where they want to be eventually and potentially winning a Super Bowl. Maybe the real stiff arm here is the management to David Tepper, the tamperer, as I should say, on being involved on the day-to-day operations and, basically being the micromanager of the NFL as far as owners are concerned, for this team to one day compete for a Super Bowl. For the first time in a long time, Panthers fans can say, at least for now, until next weekend, keep pounding.
As far as the point about morale and all that kind of stuff, it's still there. That's a good thing that I would take away from the Panthers so far this season. Late in the season when there were stakes, that building easily could have been the other team travels well situation. And I would expect Bank of America Stadium to be mostly Panthers fans on Saturday. One thing that would give me optimism that people haven't completely checked out of the Panthers is the fact that when the stakes were back, people showed up. So that's good. But now you just got to sustain that and make sure it doesn't become this fleeting thing like it has the last couple of years. Then we got time for like one more here. Let's go to 617.
It's a really good thing. Al, by the way, I'm sure the 617 was a hit. It's a really good thing I've had things go on in my life to where I have learned that a sports day like this will not depress me like younger self would have. Because if you are a UNC, and for 1 second I'll shout out the state fans, if you're a UNC State / Panthers / Hurricane fan, this was Black Saturday. It was frustrating because each one of the games gave you glimmers of hope. And I can silver lining the shit out of 2 to 3. And this is coming in before we know the results of how the Falcons game will go tomorrow, whether or not the Panthers will stumble into a playoff spot no matter what, which would be perfect, or how the Canes will respond against the Devils. But it's just, why do we let sports do this to us, man? Why do we care? Why do we care? Are the highs really worth it?
Yes. The highs are always worth it. Also, think about sports. Gives you something to talk about with other people. What else are we going to talk about?
Gives your family members in other states reasons to text you.
We can talk about Stranger Things and how that all ended?
No, I'm not even watching it. I'm not going to watch the final season.
Don't.
I'm not going to.
Don't. You can just watch the epilogue and you're good.
Not even going to do that.
Oh, okay.
It took too long. Those kids are doing porn now. Took too long.
They haven't hit that point in their career yet. It's not. We haven't gotten there yet. The Stranger Things checks are still cashing. They're still there. Give it a couple of years. Then we might get a cameo. Just hit up the guy who was it? What's the guy's name? Finn Wolfhard. I think that's one of the actors' names. We'll get a cameo from him. The guy who
great name for porn.
The guy who plays Steve Harrington.
Yeah.
Right. He's in a band called Joe. It's actually pretty good. So he'll be fine. He'll be fine. On that note, we'll see you all tomorrow.